yourself standing at a bakery, right? You're looking at the menu, you're going through, you see a few things that you like, you see things that you don't like, but you're maybe trying to make a decision between like 4 things. You're standing there, people behind you are like, all right, come on, they're tapping their foot. You're like, go ahead, go in front of me, go in front of me. You finally make a decision after standing there for maybe 15 minutes on what you'd really, really like. And then when you get up to the register, you ask for it and they're like, oh no, we sold out of that. The guy, 3 people behind you just bought it. That is pretty much what we're talking about today. Not being in the bakery, but that process of not making decisions. So the question is, why do you overthink every decision? And while that was like, a short little quirky story, just to kind of paint the picture, it can have a much larger cost than just missing out on your treat at the bakery, right? So let's get into why this happens. So why? Why do you overthink every decision? If you are a person who does it, this one is for you. So, number 1 is lack of trust around your decision making. So you may think that overthinking or really thinking something out will reduce the chances of something bad happening. And in some cases that is true. Due diligence is a real thing. There's certain things that you shouldn't just rush. But there is a difference between due diligence and feeling like you have a lack of trust around your decision making, feeling like you are not capable of making the right decision. So you kind of stall on making decisions, or again, the bakery, you take so long to make the decision that the opportunity is gone by the time you actually even make it. So lack of trust around your decision making. This could be something that started in childhood. It could be that you come from a family that is really hard on you about the decisions you made. Or when you made a mistake as a kid, they demonized you and made you feel horrible for making a mistake. And they didn't normalize, making mistakes and normalizing that a lot of times when you make a mistake, the other part of that or the other side of the coin is that you learn, which is necessary in life. Nobody goes through life without making mistakes. So if you've never heard that before and you're still dealing with, that from your childhood, hear that. Nobody gets through life without making mistakes. And if you do, it's because you're not really trying. So, lack of decision making. Another one, fear. And this is kind of what we just talked about. Of judgment for making the wrong choice. I'm going to need my eraser because this is already getting low. I'm trying to write big enough so hopefully you can in fact see it. So we talked about that. Fear of judgment for making the wrong choice. So we're just going to kick into the next one. Overthinking is, actually I'm just going to hit is not equal to intelligence. Again, just because you overthink, it does not mean that you're a more intelligent person. It means that you're a person who does not trust their own ability to make a decision. So those are some of the reasons why. Sure, there's more reasons why, but that's just the ones we're going to talk about today for the sake of the length of the video. Let me erase. So those are some of the reasons, again, why this might happen. And a large part of it comes down to avoidance. Avoidance of an unsavory outcome. So this is also an understandable thing. I also have had difficulties in the past with decision making. It's something I've worked on. It's something I'm getting better at. So it's also something that I want to communicate to anybody else struggling with this, because there is a cost to this that we'll get into later. But first, I understand that there are reasons why this exists. 1, new territory is scary. You know, your comfort zone is comfortable. That's why it's called the comfort zone. New territory can be very unfamiliar. You're not really sure what's there. So you may avoid going into that territory. The other side of that, well, we'll get into cost later. I just understand. I understand a new territory can be scary. So that may be one reason, you know, this is something that you're using to, what it feels like, protect yourself. So you may not, here's another thing, you may not have practice in handwriting. I hope you're still with me. You may not have practice in making decisions. And when you don't have practice in making decisions, especially decisions that you feel are going to impact your life, but that's not even always the case, could be small to the large. But when you don't have practice in making decisions, the feeling of it becomes incredibly uncomfortable. It becomes really, really uncomfortable, and it really leads to uncertainty, and it leads to a lack of trust. Again, like we said before, it leads to a lack of trust in just not in your ability to make good decisions and not have consequences from the decisions you're making. Consequences are a part of life when you make decisions. Those are the things that teach us what to do and what not to do, which is really helpful information if that's the way you think of it. You know, there are people who they come up in contact with difficult decision making and have faced that fear of failure, have faced that discomfort in thinking, if I make this decision, then something really bad is going to happen. Even if that is the case, it's not something that you can't necessarily survive, right? And I'm not talking about like the really bad decisions that could potentially get you killed. That's not where we're at right now. But I'm talking to the people who have, you know, they don't want to get the car that they want to get because they feel like they just overthink it to the point where it may not be available anymore. Or to the point where it's just like, I'm just not going to get a car because I can't figure out the car and the insurance and all those things. So I'm not going to make a decision at all. But in actuality, if you had the car, you may be able to go for that job that, you know, may be a little further out, but you missed a whole opportunity because you couldn't make a decision on the car. Same thing with something with a house. It's usually something around money because, you know, our money is where our heart is, honestly. Our money is where our heart is. So when we can't make decisions around things because we feel like it's going to cost us financially, it keeps us stuck. So here's another thing. You're trying to capture a false sense of control. And this is so real, right? You feel like if you just don't make the decision, then it's safer. It's a way that you can control the outcomes. It's a way that you can control your day-to-day. But indecision is still a decision. And even if you did not make a decision, your indecision at some point also comes with a consequence. So we're going to go ahead and hop in to what that consequence could be. And it won't be all of them, but it will be some of them. Actually, let's get into the pillar first. The pillar that this is going to deal with is witness. And again, I'll put it up here because that's what I did in other videos, so we can keep it there. Man, this marker is starting to suck. Witness and own. Again, on this channel, we deal with the whole method. The whole method has 5 pillars. Witness, heal, own, love, execute. So the pillar that this question deals with is witness and own. The reason it deals with witness is because a lot of this takes place internally, right? It takes place in your head. That's why it's overthinking. The lack of trust, the sense of control, all these things come from your thoughts. All these things come from the different looping thoughts in your head, which are probably telling yourself that I'm not capable making this good decision. So I'm not even going to put myself in a position to deal with the consequences of this bad decision that I could possibly make, which is really, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in that sense, because the lack of decision you make becomes your bad decision, unfortunately. So the other one is own, because when we talk about own, we're talking about recapturing our power. So owning is, you got to own your decisions, right? You have to be confident enough to own and to feel that even if there is a bad decision that's made, it's not something you can't come back from. It's not something that you can't figure out. You're going to have a problem in life, whether it's based off of a bad decision or not, because problems are promised in life. That's just the way this thing is set up. So when you begin to own your decisions, own your responsibilities, it makes you feel more empowered to make the decisions necessary for your life. So that's why the pillars are witness and own. But now we are going to get into the cost. And hopefully we have enough room for that so I don't have to erase again. Gosh, this marker is really disappointing. I'm looking, I don't even see another one right now. All right. Cost. Here you go. So, this is a big cost. Overthinking is a thief. It is. Say overthinking is a thief, because it is. Overthinking steals your time, which you cannot get back, and opportunity, which some of those you can't get back either. Not to say that more won't come, but you may lose out on the opportunity that you could have had because you overthought so much that you never got to the finish line and making a decision. It steals your time because you spend more time in your head thinking about all the bad things that could happen instead of thinking about the good things that could happen and go ahead and make a decision. The life you want to live requires action. You cannot do nothing and live the life that you want to live. That's not how it goes. Anything left to itself, it worsens. That's a principle. Anything left to itself, it doesn't get better, it worsens. So you cannot just leave things to chance. And your life is far more important than that. Your life is too important for you to just leave it to chance. So you have to make decisions. That's how you don't leave your life to chance. So that's one cause, which is a really big cause. Another cause, it keeps you exhausted. See, even the marker is excited. Look at it coming back. Without even moving forward. And that is so real. You know why it keeps you exhausted? Because you have looping thoughts of worry about things that haven't even happened. So, and that's exhausting. If you are a worrier, or if you're even a person who is just worried, you know how exhausting worrying can be. And you know, again, that it's an internal process, which means it doesn't do anything externally. You don't take action, so nothing actually happens. So again, that's why it's witnessed, because one of the things that happen, which causes exhaustion, is your worry about things that have not even happened. And when you worry about things that haven't even happened, it robs you of your ability to problem solve. It robs you of your ability to think of all the great things that could happen and then take action toward those great things. It robs you of anticipation of your life. And that's terrible. That's terrible. I mean, I laugh because I'm thinking about really the cost of it as I'm sitting here talking about it, but it's a terrible experience to just be robbed of the great things that you could possibly do because you lack the ability to stand on your decision, whether it leads to consequence or not. Because a lot of times the things that lead to consequence that consequence is the catalyst to our next great decision, because it provided the necessary information for us to know what to do better next time. When you don't try, you don't do anything, you never get that information. I'm getting excited, but that's only because I really want y'all to get this. All right. Here we go. We still got room. Come Come on, marker. Little engine that could. Overthinking. It feels safe. But it's costing you the life you want to have. And that's real. It may feel safe, like I said. You feel like if I don't make a decision, then I can't deal with a consequence of the decision I never made. That's not true, because every time you do not make a decision for the betterment of your life, it's costing you the life you want to have. So that life that you're thinking about in your head of what you could do in the future, no, it's not going to come to fruition. Not if you stay in this place. Oh, if you get out of this place, the sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. You can do anything you want to do. You can't do it from this place, though. So the next time you're having difficulties making decisions, and I'm going to tell you a secret. It's a lot easier to make hard decisions when you get better at making easy decisions. Test yourself on the easy decisions. That's a nugget. I'm not even supposed to, we ain't going to get into that. But that's a nugget. Test yourself on the small decisions that you make. Be mindful of them. That's how you build trust. When you build the stair steps of hard things, people say, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? How do you get over overthinking every decision? One small decision at a time. You build your confidence in decision making. So be mindful now of the small decisions that you make throughout the day. And even more than that, become comfortable when you feel like it was the wrong decision. When you get that thing at the bakery and you thought, man, this sucks, the other one might have been better, be comfortable with that, because that's a part of life. Now you know. Don't get what you ordered again. Don't do it. When you get more comfortable with small consequences of your decision making, it builds your confidence in being able to handle larger responsibility, larger consequences of decision making. Because I guarantee you, you are far more powerful than you know you are. And you'll never know how powerful you are if you do not step out of your comfort zone and make the decisions necessary to live the life that you want to live. Your life is waiting for you. Your best life, it is literally waiting for you. But guess what? Tomorrow is not promised. The next hour is not promised. So do not procrastinate your way out of a fantastic life because you can't make a decision. Don't do it. If this is something that you feel like you want to work on, you want to better understand where this may be coming from, in your life, please join us in our school community. The link will be in the bio. It's where we really dissect the whole method and we break everything down. The whole method, it's pretty much a roadmap to your transformation. And you can better understand why you're facing these things so that you can ultimately live the life that you want to live. Not the life that somebody else wants you to live, but the life that you want to live. So that's the link in the bio. If you want other conversations around mental health, please join me on social media. On Instagram, Talk Therapy on the Go. On TikTok, it's Talk Therapy on the Go. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel and better understand questions like these. See you.